The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the set of my show, The Right Side. Some thoughts about the Republican National Committee and their policy that was released yesterday. A lot of people out there on our side, some America First, MAGA conservatives, a little bit disappointed and left scratching their heads with regards to the new platform. Caused a lot of angst, I think, out there. If anything, I've got my finger on the pulse of what's going on in America, and I can sense it from you. I can sense it from what I see, what I hear, and my intuition. But I want to take a few minutes to explain that this platform is not as bleak and dark, and it's not as disappointing as it may appear to be, or as many people may think it may be. So let's take a minute and talk about what's in the platform. It's titled Make America Great Again. It really does mirror President Trump and his campaign stops. When you read this document, it's a lot like what you would hear President Trump say on the campaign trail. We've all heard, I would wager to say, those of us who are conservative, Make America First and Make America Great Again conservatives, we've all heard these talking points before. And so the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee starts on Sunday, just 4 days from now. President Trump is going to be nominated to be the Republican candidate for president for the third time. And the entire platform, when you look at it, it's only 16 pages long, not very long. It's a lot shorter than the 66 pages that was put forth by the party in 2016. One of the key differences and the reasons for this is because President Trump himself had a hand in writing, drafting, and publishing this current document. He did not have that ability in 2016. So a little bit different, more concise, has more of an executive tone and look and feel to it. And the Republican National Committee and President Trump have said publicly they are now operating in sync with one another. So this time around, both President Trump and his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, who's the co-chair of the Republican National Committee, they've frequently campaigned together. They're putting on a united front, as they should. Father-in-law, daughter-in-law, Republican Party, you would expect them to be united, and they should be. And so should we. The platform is dedicated to the forgotten men and women of America. I won't spend a lot of time, certainly not going to read the whole thing to you here, but it includes things like eliminating taxes on tips, which is a very popular current trend and a topic among conservatives. You've seen, I'm sure, many people post pictures of their bar tab or their restaurant bill on social media where they write in the words, "Vote Trump, no tax on tips," right? Trying to convince the wait staff to vote for Trump. Many of them will, because many of those wait staff ladies and gentlemen, fall into the category of Gen Z. And as we've seen, Gen Z is going for Trump in a big way. It also talks about making the United States a manufacturing superpower again. Okay, you hear Trump talk about that quite often. Making the American dream affordable again. Things like this, housing, higher education, healthcare, all becoming more affordable under the Republican plan. And again, it mentions most things that we've all heard about on his campaign stump stops. The GOP support for law and order, fighting crime and so forth, traditional Republican promises to protect our Second Amendment, our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the right to bear arms unfettered and uninfringed, the end of the weaponization of the federal government, and withholding funding from schools that would dare to put forth critical race theory ideology or gender affirming ideology, things like that. There also is mention of balancing the federal budget, eliminating the national debt, and reducing size of the federal bureaucracy. All valid points. However, those are the things that are in the plan. And when we talk about eliminating the bureaucracies, the weaponization of the government, and so forth, I think we have to look towards General Michael Flynn in his capacity to be an appointed, and these are going to be my words, some sort of a czar of accountability or a secretary of accountability, but a position that will not require congressional approval. We don't want to waste time with that nonsense. The radical left will drag that on as long as they can. I know that many of you out there like the idea of General Flynn being President Trump's vice president. I'm asking you to not be seduced by that idea. General Flynn is much too important for the role of the vice presidency, and he will function much more effectively when he's unshackled from the job descriptions of that role. So in this czar of accountability, or the secretary of accountability, the general will focus on gutting, cleansing, and purging the Department of Justice. And that, of course, includes the FBI and the CIA. He will also focus on disemboweling and eliminating the Department of Education, which has done absolutely nothing for our children except to indoctrinate them with ideals that are contrary to the founding of this country and the divine providence of God himself. General Flynn will also, in this capacity, reduce, if not eliminate altogether, these departments, the Department of Energy and the Department of Interior. Both of those departments and their responsibilities returned to the states. Each state responsible for their energy policies, each state responsible for their interior issues, the parks and recreations, for example, that are in each state. That will fall under state rights, state responsibilities, taken away from the federal government. So I think that's what we will look to Flynn to do. And finally, this may shock some of you, but I think Trump will tap General Flynn to help President Trump withdraw the United States from the United Nations. So General Flynn, much too important for the vice presidency. No disparaging intent meant for anyone who might be in that category and on the category list, the candidate list for vice president. I don't mean to insult any of you, but Flynn's above that pay grade. The vice president also, whoever it ends up being, in my opinion, has to be someone who is young, dynamic, and charismatic, a MAGA conservative. Young, dynamic, charismatic. Those are the key words. That rules out many of the people who are on the list. And I think, although I like the guy very much, I really do. I believe that he has a role to play behind the scenes in a Trump administration. That's Dr. Ben Carson. Young, dynamic, charismatic. We've got to pick someone who has those characteristics. Dr. Ben Carson, he's always the smartest man in the room, no matter what room he's in. And I admire the hell out of him. I honor his life's work as a surgeon and his patriotism. But ladies and gentlemen, he's like listening to a sleeping pill. We need passion, energy, charisma, youth. So that's and beyond that, we're not just after 2024 here, ladies and gentlemen. We're after 2028 and 2032. So whoever the vice president is, I think that that person should be young enough, charismatic enough, passionate enough, energetic enough to be our standard bearer in 2028 and 2032. Now, let me mention to you the issue that has many conservative MAGA patriots a bit put off today regarding the RNC platform. And I can sum it up in one word: abortion. Roe v. Wade was overturned, rightly so, because the federal government has no jurisdiction, none, over those kinds of personal issues. They have no jurisdiction over the lives of American citizens. So the Supreme Court, in a decision that is absolutely correct and in alignment with the founding fathers, they returned the issue of abortion to the individual states within this republic. This is as it should be. Each state, and more precisely, each patriot within each state, now bears the responsibility to do the work of what I call determined patriotism, to work diligently to vet and put forth and elect true MAGA conservatives in your local government, in your city government, in your county government, in your state government. You've got to endeavor to put forth legislation within your state that will limit, if not eliminate, abortion. It's up to the states, as the founders intended. So the disappointment, and in some cases some anger, among some conservatives and social media influencers and so forth, is understood but misguided. We need to take a step back off the ledge of panic and come back into the room of intellectual maturity. President Trump is doing the right thing with this issue. Let me explain. I want to remind you that the power to reduce or eliminate abortion resides with you and me in our states. We are surrendering no moral high ground here. The right to life is a winning issue for us at the state level, at our local levels of government. It is a winner for us. We should not back down or away from it. The federal national platform is looking to the states to take up that role, and is as it should be. So don't lose heart, and don't let this bother you. Don't let this cause you to lose sleep, because for those of you who doubt, or God forbid, those of you who would consider to withdraw your support from the Republican National Committee or from President Trump, you need to think twice about this. Ladies and gentlemen, our continued fight to protect life does not reside within the halls of Congress in Washington, D.C., nor through the involvement of the federal government. Our fight to protect the right to human life resides with us, we the people, in our communities. So don't be angry with President Trump if he leaves abortion off the platform. Look to your states and look to your Republican committee men and women within your states, within your counties. Become involved in these groups. Run for them. Volunteer to be part of them. We need you. Not too long ago, there was over 200,000 vacancies among Republican committee men and women positions in this republic. That is unacceptable. We need involvement at the local level. And one final thought on this about vetting and making sure that we do have the right conservative candidates in the mix. If your local community is not vetting candidates who would be given the honor of having an R behind their name to run for office, that's a mistake. And if there are Republicans in your midst who are telling you that you should not vet candidates, that person is either highly misinformed and misguided, or, and probably more likely, that person is a rhino, part of the establishment swamp. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't need to tell you, you are members of the most intellectually mature audience in all of podcast land. You know this. There are Democrats out there among us who know that they cannot be elected as a Democrat. So they apply and register as a Republican in their local communities to win elections. And once they're in office, you know it, they vote with the radical left coalition of immorality every time. We must vet. We must get the process. I ask you all, if you're considering this, look to the state of Missouri. They have a perfect vetting operation in plan. And yes, it gets resistance from the establishment swamp. We are prepared to meet that resistance and explain to them cordially and logically, always politely, why we are correct. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't be discouraged about the platform of the Republican National Committee when you read it. Abortion is a winning issue for conservatives. We will always take it head on. We will always tell women, truthfully, we care for you, and we care for your unborn child. Let us help you. We will provide mechanisms of support based within your local community so that you don't have to uproot and leave the people who are close to you, your established circle of influence and help. We are also going to hold men accountable to their role as father. And we will do it with the traditional characteristics of conservatives, with a Christian-based approach to life and the sacred dimension that all human life contains. This is how we win. We don't back down. And we take control. We take offense, not defense. We become the managers of that issue. It is a winner. Life is always a winning proposition. The radical left may seem like they're the majority in this matter, but they are not. I assure you, they are simply the loudest. Now it's our turn. We are the example on the hill. The other party, the radical left, are nothing more. And evidence of the obvious is sufficient. They're nothing more than a radical coalition of immorality. So stand with President Trump, stand with this platform, stand with each other, and begin to work diligently in your local communities to make sure that we limit this culture of death. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.